So, I've already posted a lecture on Chapter 14, Persuasive Speaking. And what's in this lecture is some of it is redundant, repetition, etc., etc. But I'm trying to present here exactly what you need to go through to put your speech together. So, bear with me. I think this will be worth your while. All right. So, again, what is a persuasive speech? As I say here, you want to change the way people believe, act, or value. All right, that's what you're trying to do. Uh, we're presented with persuasion constantly from the moment we get up until we go to bed at night. And no, don't put that speaker under your pillow. Take those earbuds out. Turn off the iPad, the TV, the radio. Make it dark in your bedroom and sleep comfortably. But when you get up, we start being bombarded by persuasion again. All right. Commercials, of course, are the most common. You may remember way back when I talked about logos, pathos, and ethos. When I discussed pathos, I talked about emotion. And persuasion is all about appealing to our emotions. All right, and I'll get back into that just a little bit. Now you remember this WIIFM. That's what everyone that's listening to you is thinking. What's in it for me? That's what they're thinking. So you can turn that around to WII. Yeah. Uh, what's in it for them? It's pretty bad, isn't it? Okay, you can turn it around. You need to think, what's in this for them? Why should they listen? Why should they care? Otherwise, you're not going to be persuasive. All right. So, again, in the introduction of your persuasive speech, let me move my little image down a bit here. There we go. In the introduction of your persuasive speech, you need a strong credibility statement. If you don't tell people you care about this or that it's important to you in some way, then you really don't have any credibility. You need to tell people exactly what it is you want them to know, to believe, how to act. You know, this would be basically in your thesis statement. And then, of course, the end of the speech, I'll talk about that some more. I did talk about it in the other lecture. The end of a persuasive speech is all important. Now, I've posted my persuasive speech on The Truth Is Out There. It's called Ray's Persuasive Speech. But anyway, uh, make sure you go back and watch that and see if I hit these elements, especially uh, the end of the speech. All right. So uh, you need to create a specific purpose again, just like you did for the informative speech. And you'll see this in the examples that I post. But you need to put that at the top of your speech. You also need to put your thesis statement at the top of your speech. And there's one other item that will need to go there, which I'll show you in just a moment. Again, the specific purpose is what you want people to know at the end of the speech, or what you want them to, in this case with persuasion, what you want them to do at the end of the speech. So you need to make your position clear. Today I'm going to tell you that the people who believe the earth is flat are dumb, and I can prove to you without you ever having to leave your chair that it's round. All right. But again, the specific purpose is the end game. It's what you want people to know at the end of the speech. So, and you can go back and look at this. I posted a lecture, which was a fairly short one, about specific purpose and thesis statement. But you can start it out by saying, I want to persuade my audience that they should do something, that they should believe something, that they should act in a certain way. But make sure it's what you want these people to do, believe, or act at the end of your speech. So, yes, you need a specific purpose. What else do I have? Simple examples. All right. I want to persuade my audience that smoking can kill. Okay. I want to persuade my audience that humans are causing climate change. Now, notice, you could give an informative speech on climate change without ever saying people are causing it. It's just informative. Over the last 150 years, here's the records of how the climate has been changing. All right, but now I want to specifically talk about how humans are causing that change. See how that's a little bit different? All right. Another example: to convince everyone to join a gym to improve their health and feel better. All right. So these are statements that are either quantifiable, measurable. I want to persuade my audience that smoking kills, that humans cause climate change. That would probably be uh, speeches of fact. It's quantifiable. You can show data that this is happening. Uh, I want to convince many people to join the gym. Well, sure, you can show data that it helps people, but this is undoubtedly more a speech of value. It's literally a feel good speech. If you do this, you're going to feel better. All right, but these are examples of specific purpose. All right, and then your thesis statement. Remember, this is what you say in the speech. And I did that in my speech about uh, the earth is round. So develop a thesis statement. It has to support the specific purpose. Remember that specific purpose is your guide all through your speech to let you know whether you're staying on topic and making sense. Uh, it needs to support your position again. All right, the thesis statement, the thesis of a speech summarizes the plan of what's going to be talked about in the speech, what you want everyone to know. So, thesis statement should only be about one sentence, uh, and it's there to help you convince your audience that they should do something in a persuasive speech. Again, some examples. In my speech today, now this is what, remember, you don't say the specific purpose in your speech. That's just for you. But the thesis statement, you say it in the introduction. In my speech today, I will clearly show how carbon dioxide has dramatically risen over the last 150 years and how this has affected the atmosphere and everyone in this room. Okay, I'm getting personal here, right? All right, see, that's persuasion. If I didn't say, if I just said how this has affected the atmosphere, you might think, okay. But the moment the speaker says it affects you in some way, it becomes personal. Pathos, emotion. Okay, let's see. Most all of you will want to get a pet someday. You need to get one from a shelter to save a life and feel good too. Emotion again. Save a life. How much more dramatic can you get than that? And of course, it's going to make you feel good. I hope you get my point here. It affects everyone in the room. You're going to save a life. You're going to feel good about what you're doing. Ha. Okay. All right. I hope you're getting the point. I think so. So again, the three types, and you have to pick one, and you need to decide what it is and put it up in the heading. In the heading of your outline, it's going to have the specific purpose, the thesis statement, and then you're going to tell me if it's a speech of fact, of value, or policy. And again, if you're confused about what these are, it's clearly explained in the book. I explain it in my other, I go into a lot of detail in my other lecture on persuasive speaking. But you got to pick one. You have to decide. If you're not sure which one of these are, you're going to just wander around in your speech. All right. So again, in the introduction, just like with the informative speech, you need an attention getter. In my speech about the round earth, I used the fact, my attention getter was everyone knows who Christopher Columbus is. A lot of people think he was trying to prove the earth was flat uh, by sailing from east to west. No, he knew it, and people knew it for over 2,000 years. Okay, so, that may not reach out and grab you by the throat, but that was my intention getter. My credibility statement. Well, again, You don't have to be a world expert on something. You can just say, I'm really concerned about recycling, and I want you to be concerned as well. All right. Then the thesis statement, I've already talked about that, and the preview of the main points. Again, just make it easy. 1, 2, 3. You can use the template that I've posted to make that happen. All right. So keep it straightforward and simple, but you need to tell us. And you need those transition statements. I don't have this in here, but I've had a few speeches where I wasn't sure that the speaker had moved from the introduction into the body of the speech because the three main points were a little muddled and there was no transition statement. Make sure you're very clear on here's what I'm going to talk about today, and then tell us you're moving on to the body of the speech. All right. Now, I've said this before too. Persuasive speech is all about your opinion, right? So that's fine. That's what a persuasive speech is. An informative speech was just to educate. It was not about your opinion. So in the body of the speech, you need to support your opinion somehow. And you can do this, as I say here, facts, data, examples, stories. These all help build your credibility. Once again, you need to cite at least 3 sources in the speech. You need to say them out loud, according to, or in this website, or whatever it may be. You need to say them out loud, because then it's not just your opinion. You're saying other people agree with you, and that adds to the strength of your argument, and it also provides more credibility. All right. So in the body of the speech, main point 1, you're defining, you're clarifying the topic, explaining what the concern or the issue might be, or maybe it's a problem, and then provide the sources that support this. Okay, so in my speech on the Earth is round, my first main point is I used the fact that ancient people were able to figure out that the Earth was round. So I'm kind of defining the topic. You know, we learn in school, or we think people long ago just thought the Earth was flat. I'm telling you they didn't, and they figured it out. Okay, so the first main point is fairly broad in general. All right, now again, I talked about the Flat Earth Society because there are actually people out there that are promoting the idea that the Earth is flat. So I'm trying to give my listeners a reason. You might think, well, everybody knows the Earth is round. Wait a minute. I'm telling you, there are people out there that want you to believe otherwise. Okay. And again, I provided, I quote it right from the Flat Earth Society's website. All right. So let's see. Oops, I let me back up here. Okay, main point 2. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. All right, so in my speech in main point 2, I got more specific. In the first main point, I just talked about what people thought about the round Earth and how they figured it out. Main point 2, yes, I specific reasons here. In my speech, I gave examples. My brother-in-law calling me saying, "Go out and look at the moon." Well, I live way around this side of the earth. The moon hasn't risen yet. My trip to Australia, by the way, that really truly was, I didn't meet the kangaroo on the beach, but that really truly was a real story. I flew out of Chicago on a cold winter's day and landed in Australia at the beginning of summer. So I gave some very specific, real examples to support my position. And then in main point 3, like I say here, this is you're building an argument here. You're building a case for people to believe you. I talked specifically about scientists, Neil deGrasse Tyson, scientific formulas, which was kind of a joke, but I threw it in there. And then I said, if we don't live on a round Earth, gravity's all screwed up, and that's bad. So again, mine's just a speech of fact, a speech of value. You might want to show how what you're talking about helps the listener by acting or believing a certain way. But think about 1, 2, 3, sort of broad, and then number 2, more specific, and then your third main point. That's where you really say, this is why you have to believe me. All right. And then again, here it is, summary. You can look at this. Tell the reasons the listeners should act or think the way you're suggesting your thesis. Give listeners more specific reasons. And then number 3, your third main point is your strongest point in the persuasive speech, the argument. All right. Now, the end of the speech. It's called the call to action. Yes, just like in the informative speech, you do a very brief summary of what you've talked about. Today, I talked about what ancient people thought about the round earth. I talked about some specific personal examples. And then I gave you the physics, the real hard stuff to prove that the earth is round. Okay, well, that's basically just information, isn't it? What did I say? Okay, so now I want you to realize that there's a lot of goofy stuff out there. And if you hear things that just don't sound right, go out and find out for yourself. All right, I'm telling you to do something. Don't say, I think it'd be nice if you maybe checked around a little bit. Nah, that's not really a call to action. You need to tell people to do something, whatever it is you want them to do. You must do this. I want you to believe. You need to take this action. All right? That's the call to action. And it's the most important part of a persuasive speech. If you don't have a good call to action, then why did you even bother trying to explain things to persuade people of something specific? So remember how important the call to action is. All right. So restate your thesis, review your main points, have a memorable, call to action, and then always thank your audience. And let's see, do I have another slide? Yeah, okay. And then a final thought. Remember, you got to see my puppy picture. Remember, the persuasive speech is basically about emotion. And so you need to persuade your listeners that they need to do something for themselves. Go out and find out for yourself if you don't think something is true. Okay, I'm telling you to do that for yourself. Uh, Adopt that adorable puppy. You'll save a life and you'll feel good. Vote for this cause. We need to do this, not just for ourselves, but for everyone else. Be an organ donor. Okay, I think you get my point. So there you go, kind of in a nutshell. As close to a nutshell as it's going to get, I guess, of what the persuasive speech is all about and how to put it together. I think this particular presentation may be more helpful than just the general lecture about persuasive speeches. So, but watch both of them. Again, thanks, and get started on that speech.